A lot of his criminal offenses, the domestic violence, misdemeanors, plus his history with the municipal courts, plus his prior felonies, all drug related. This case was drug and alcohol, not alcohol related, just drug related. In this case, he was parked. He had been with his friend. They were working, and he had smoked some marijuana that day. Prior to that, he had used some meth much before this. He pulled over because he was tired. He was sleeping in his car. The officers came up. They opened the door because he was sleeping to check on him, and then he spoke to the officers. And he didn't give them a hard time, but as we talked about, he wasn't necessarily cooperative, doing exactly what they wanted, giving him everything, but he was not rude or aggressive against the officers. And they told him that this was a felony OVI, which he knew it was not. They told him they were going to get his sample anyways, so he gave them a sample so they could have that, and it shows that he's over the limit for marijuana as well as methamphetamines. And when they initially opened the car door and they saw his wallet, he had a small pack of drugs. It had meth and heroin, or fentanyl, I'm sorry, on top of his wallet. The officers immediately saw that, and he gave it to the officers. As such, he was in custody. Your Honor, with his history, we could send him to prison for the 12 months, but I don't think that would benefit anybody except keeping him away and the cost of that. He's been sober here in the Lake County Jail since May 28th, and the Lake County Jail has a very good track record of keeping drugs out. Nothing's 100%, but in prison we know that he has access to drugs, and we'd like to maintain his sobriety. He's got a nice start going now. He wants to be drug-free. We did talk about his employment, and if he could be a welder, his life would be different, but he's had some other issues. So we'd ask the court for a 6 or 7 month sentence. His mother is sick. That way he would be able to rejoin his family. He doesn't want to live with her because she drives him crazy, but that's still his mom. So he would like to be able to be there for her. And if he spends most of his time here in the Lake County Jail, we could almost guarantee his sobriety. That way he has a good base to start. If when he goes to prison, they'll evaluate him for PRC, and it's unlikely, given an F5, that he would receive that. But his history, they may decide that. So we'd ask the court for a 1-year license suspension, 10 days mandatory jail, mandatory fine as per the OVI, and then for the court to order 7 months prison with credit for time served.
Okay,
Michael?
what do you want to tell me?
Yes, I take responsibility for what I did. I'd say this time is probably the best I've done since I've came home from prison. And if I got my license back, I got a car, motorcycle. I relapsed when I first came home from prison. My family helped me go to treatment down in Texas, which I completed. I came back here when my mother got sick. That's why I came back to Ohio. She had brain surgery. So I came back here. My brother passed away. I was enrolled into the methadone clinic for almost a year. I had a sponsor. I went to 3 to 5 AA meetings. When we had his celebration of life, I started hanging out with some of my old friends. I ended up going out for New Year's Eve, and on the 8th, I was back in jail. So I know what I did wrong. I realized what I did wrong. I take responsibility for what I did. I don't know. I know it's up to you. I just want to do whatever I got to do to get back to my mother as soon as possible. If that's, if I have to go to prison, I hope I don't have to go back to prison. But, I would hope that I could just do the time and be done. That way I'm able to leave the state. I also work with my father, too, to go out of town a lot. So that's one of the things. If I was on probation, it's kind of hard for me to leave the state. I plan to go back to Texas after my mother's health gets better. And that's it. Thank you.
State of Ohio and trust the court to pass in a sentence that's appropriate in this matter. Thank you.
Why are you in jail right now?
Why am I in jail?
Yeah.
Because I was on house arrest. I bonded out, and I didn't do the house arrest. Me and my mom were arguing. Well, my brother just passed away, and it was hard for me to sit there. She was just screaming and crying all night. And my house, I had a girlfriend I broke up with, so I was kind of in the middle of where I could go, and I tried to contact the court, and it was in the middle of being bonded over. So they said to contact here. By that time, I already had a warrant.
A warrant out of Willoughby?
No, came out of probation, I believe. I was out 10 days when I bonded out.
Well, I don't know where the warrant came out of because this was bound over. I don't know when it was bound
Well,
over.
it was
There was
supposed
an
to stay
information that
misdemeanor
was
for a
filed on
while.
September
Thanks,
11th, so I don't
Yeah.
know where the warrant came from, but.
It had to be from Muni because it came over to me as a bond revoke.
That's when I was
Yeah.
in
Okay.
the hospital. And
All right, so
I had the court.
what do you do for work?
Well, my dad owns a commercial diving company, which he's semi-retired, so I help him when he needs help. I'm kind of in the middle of starting up a mobile tinning and like doing car wraps, and then I've been doing like pressure washing like houses and residential and commercial stuff like driveways, siding, stuff like that. Been trying to get started. My dad's been helping me with that.
What's with this theft out of Menor?
That was me being stupid, and I guess I
Well,
don't
why
know
are you
what
being stupid?
I wasn't thinking. I made a bad mistake. I picked
Why-
the pocket
why?
knife up, and instead of paying for it, I didn't pay for it. I had money in my pocket. I don't know what I was thinking. I shouldn't.
Well, were you high at the time?
Yep, that's when I relapsed.
Okay, when was that charge?
I was out on bond for this charge.
Right.
I think it may have happened right before this happened. No, I got this and then that happened right after it.
How long you been working for your dad or with your dad?
About 20 years.
What did your brother die from?
He had a bleeding ulcer, and he ended up like almost drowning to death, and he fell backwards and hit his head.
Why have you spent the last 20 years or more squandering your opportunities?
Drugs and alcohol.
Why?
Because a lot of it, I guess, I would just, I wouldn't say depression or whatever, but I would just drink and use alcohol to try to forget my problems, I guess.
What problems?
I guess missed opportunities, stuff that I should have done a long time ago. Arguing and fighting with my son's mother. I haven't been part of my son's life until I came home this time. I actually got a good relationship with my family. My mom actually wanted me there to come back. This is the longest I've been sober. I was sober 16 months. It's the longest I've ever been sober.
Okay, so you went to treatment in Texas.
My
right?
family gave me $50,000 to go down there.
How long were you down there?
I was down there for about 5 months, and then I went to sober living for 2 months, and then my mom got sick.
Okay, and so you were down there in sober living?
After I completed treatment,
Right.
yes.
So when did you come back here?
I came back here about January of last year. I was home for about a year and a half.
And so what were you doing in the course of that year?
I was going to the methadone clinic. I was going to 3 to 5 AA meetings. I had a sponsor, a home group. I was working, got my license.
Where is a methadone clinic?
In Menor. It's
Where-
new season. Right across from, is that Heinen's? Yeah, Heinen's. And they're right next to McDonald's.
And why do you take methadone?
Because I was on Suboxone when I came back here, but I couldn't get into anywhere that had it. That was the easiest place for me to get into.
What does methadone do for you?
It kept me, I didn't have any cravings to get high, plus it kind of, if I took methadone, if you get high, it makes you sick. So it kind of deterred me from it. I didn't have any cravings.
Then why did you have meth on January 9th or 8th?
Because when I went out New Year's Eve and I drank and I was around my old friends, I was back around it and I ended up doing it then.
What old friends?
Friends that I went to high school with, friends that me and my brother grew up with that during his funeral. And so that's why I was back around them. And instead of me calling my sponsor, hanging out, I quit going to much meetings as I was going to. And next thing you know, I was hanging out with my old friends. And
You never saw that coming, right?
not until it was kind of too late. Now I know where I messed up
Well,
now.
So when did you start drinking then? In
New
relation
Year's
to
Eve. I relapsed New Year's Eve. And I was here on the 8th.
Okay. So you said 16 months you were sober?
Mm-hmm.
So for 16 months, you knew exactly what you had to do to be sober every day.
I stayed away from those old friends as soon as I got around
Why did
them.
you stay away from the old friends?
That's what I was told what to do.
Okay, did it work?
Yeah,
Okay, so why did you change that?
because I was around them for my brother's funeral, and I made a poor decision to go out New Year's Eve. I thought I was okay. I thought I could say no,
What went into your thinking when you went out on New Year's Eve?
that I wouldn't drink.
Where were you planning to go New Year's Eve?
We went out to, to my friend's house, and then we ended up going to a restaurant and a bar, which I should have probably not went to. I thought I was strong enough to say no until I was there.
Why would you think that? They've been doing drugs for 20 plus years. Why would you think you were strong enough?
Because I've been in restaurants and stuff like that and haven't drank or been around it before. And I don't know what made me change my mind that night. I decided to drink. I don't know. I guess I was feeling sorry for myself, feeling sorry, about my brother. I made a poor decision. It led me back here.
Okay, so you drank on New Year's Eve. Did you do any drugs on New Year's Eve?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Meth.
How
That's why I still had it.
Oh, come on now, come on.
If I was under the influence of meth, I wouldn't have been sleeping.
Okay. What were you under the influence of?
I wasn't under the influence when they arrested me. I was tired. I worked 10 hours.
What did the results show on
It was
170
marijuana and methamphetamine, Your Honor.
171 nanograms per milliliter for marijuana.
Why were you doing marijuana?
I have a medical card.
So what? What? If you're a drug addict, why would you take a drug? Why do you have a medical? Where did you get a medical marijuana card?
I've had it for about 2 years.
Where did you get it?
From the doctor.
What doctor?
I don't know his name exactly.
Where is he located?
I got it from Cleveland.
Well, where?
And then I
in Cleveland?
did it because it was during COVID, so I did it Zoom.
Well, you said you had it for 2 years. This isn't during COVID.
Well, it was right when I came home from prison. I got it. It was at the end of COVID.
Where did you go to see a doctor in Cleveland?
I did it online,
You
and
did
then
it online. So you go online. What did you tell this witch doctor online?
they asked me if I had PTSD or if I had anxiety.
What'd you tell them?
Yes.
And then what was the follow-up question to that from the doctor?
There wasn't very much that they asked you.
How much did you pay for that?
It was like $300 for the consultation, and then you had to pay a $50 state fee.
What a joke. So this guy's not a doctor, he's a quack. He's a quack on a phone. And I don't understand, I don't understand you. Why you take an opportunity that you had. As I understand your father's business, it's a hell of a business.
Yes, sir.
So I can't understand why a guy like you, with the opportunities you've had, just says, piss on it, I'm gonna do whatever I wanna do. I don't understand how a drug addict, a lifetime drug addict, thinks that taking an addictive drug is a good idea. Now, when you told the quack on the telephone for $300 that you had PTSD, what did you have PTSD from?
My friend died in the room next to me.
Okay. When?
About 7 years ago.
Okay. And how is your PTSD exhibited?
I mean, there'll be times where I just wake up and feels like my heart's about to jump out of my chest. Anxiety.
Did you seek any like psychological counseling?
Yeah, they were giving
God
me.
damn, everybody's got PT. I got PTSD from sitting here listening to this shit. Okay? Why does a drug addict seek out drugs? Medical marijuana. What a dumb idea. Suboxone, an addictive drug. What a dumb idea. Methadone, dumb idea.
Well, now I'm off of it. before it was.
Well, you're off of it because you're in jail.
Well, they would have gave it to me in jail, but I really didn't want.
I have no knowledge of that, okay? If
Yeah.
they're doing that,
Yeah,
then that's another problem growing out of today.
They give you methadone and Suboxone in jail now.
Jesus Christ. More and better drugs. Brought to you by the American pharmaceutical industry. The only way you're going to stop being a drug addict is to stop being a drug addict. The only way you're going to stop taking drugs is to stop taking drugs. Now, you can find a million excuses. Your brother, your mother, problems with your father, your friend dying, your dog dying in 1984, whatever it is, okay? You can find a million excuses. They're out there, okay? And you're either going to not give in to those excuses, or you're going to give in to those excuses. So far, you've decided you want to give in to the excuses. Because from what you're telling me, if it's true, 16 months you're sober. You're not really sober because you're taking drugs that doctors are feeding you, okay? So-called doctors. New Seasons. Sounds nice. Doesn't that sound like a nice place, Tim? New Seasons? Who wouldn't want to go to New Seasons? Who doesn't like New Seasons? Renewal. Great. Great idea. Stupid idea. So if you or your father spent $50,000 on treatment, what good did it do?
Well, I wanted to change too. I wanted something different.
Okay, so then why didn't you do something different?
I don't think I had the mindset before. I really didn't care before.
Why not?
I don't really have an answer for that. I was doing drugs, so I'd never really
Why
had a
don't
clear
you
mind.
spend your time finding the answer instead of ignoring the question?
Well, I think this time I did. I worked on myself instead of worrying about everything else or everybody
Well,
else.
in the end, what good did it do? Because you went right back to it. What good did it do? You know why it didn't work? Do you know why it didn't work?
I didn't keep doing what I was supposed to
Because
do.
you didn't put the effort in to make it work. Your problem is the lack of effort and the lack of resolve that only you can solve. All right, I've read the pre-sentence report. I've considered what you said and what Mr. Deeb has said, what Mr. Geigerich has said. So you're not amenable to community control. You're going to serve a sentence of 8 months in prison on count 1 with credit for 150 days. On count 2, 150 days in the jail with credit for 150. 2-year license suspension retroactive to January 9th, 24, 575. Is that the minimum on this?
I do
Fine,
believe so.
575.
Confirm that. I do have the cheat sheet.
Huh? Well, whatever the minimum fine is, I think it's 575. And the costs, are there any other penalties on this OVI that are mandatory?
I don't think so, Your Honor. I think you got the license suspension, you got the fine and the days.
I believe it's 525.
525.
Is that what you want, 525 then?
525. And then when you're done with your sentence, you might be on post-release control for up to 2 years with conditions. If you violate, parole authority, who doesn't do anything as a matter of course, could return you to prison for up to 9 months for each violation, up to 1/2 of my sentence. If it's a new felony, you could get an additional consecutive prison sentence for the violation, the maximum of which is the greater of 12 months of the time left under post-release control. You're 39?
Correct.
Okay. I guess you need to figure out how you want to live what, under normal circumstances, is probably another 40 years of life. Anything else, Mr. Geigerich?
Nothing, Your Honor.
What's
Thank
the
you.
jail credit, Judge?
What?
Jail credit?
What was it? He
150.
gave him 150 days.
150?
And forfeiture
further.
of the contraband